As the Ukraine scandal heats up, the media is giving a big pass to one man at the very center of it, Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden. I'm usually not a big fan of what I'm about to do, which is to compress the worst parts of someone's life into one segment. But as America talks more about this, what Trump did and who he called and what Joe Biden did in the Ukraine, Hunter Biden is a key figure in this, and people really don't know too much about him. And to be honest, the media spent more time defending him than they actually have done to take a look at his judgments, and I tell you, some of his mind-boggling decisions in life. Here are 7 facts you might not know and should if you're taking a look at this scandal. Hunter's career was never that far from his dad's Rolodex, including his first job, which was from one of his dad's largest campaign contributors. After Hunter graduated from law school, he got an apartment close to his dad's political campaign, and he also got a job from NBNA America. Now, that was one of the largest independent credit card producers in the world. After a few years of that, he got bored and called one of his dad's advisors, who called the Secretary of Commerce in the United States, and got him a job working for the Clinton administration for a few years. After that, Hunter opened a lobbying firm with that same advisor that he had called before. When his dad was elected as vice president, he decided that being a lobbyist really wasn't good optics. So he got together with a friend of his, who was actually Secretary of State John Kerry's stepson, and they decided to go into financial advising on kind of a worldwide stage. They would get involved in a number of deals, let's just call them complicated for now, that would raise some eyebrows as time went on. From the beginning, the Obama administration was a little worried about Hunter's business and personal life. The New York Times wrote that Biden, quote, exploded when campaign researchers began asking questions about the private life of his family, especially his younger son, Hunter. They continued. When an Obama campaign official flagged the issue, Mr. Biden grew angry and warned, keep my family out of this. Biden joined the Navy Reserve in 2013, but tested positive for cocaine on his very first day of duty. So if you go to his Wikipedia page, it's kind of interesting. You see military service, allegiance, United States of America, branch service, United States Navy, years of service, 2013 to 2014. That's a little bit of an overstatement. Later in life, Hunter Biden decided to join the Naval Reserve. Hunter needed 2 waivers. One was because he was a little too old for it. The other was because he admitted to drug use in the past. Those waivers weren't always easy to come by, but his dad was vice president. He got the waivers. His dad swore him in at a small private ceremony. Hunter was to go work in the public relations division of the Navy, and he was warned that they would take drug tests and that drug use was a zero-tolerance policy with the military. That said, on his very first day of showing up for his assignment, they took a urine test, and lo and behold, they discovered cocaine in his system. Hunter's defense? He said that he was at a bar the night before, that he was talking with a couple South African guys, and he bummed a cigarette off of them, and he suspected that that cigarette was laced with cocaine. Maybe? In any event, he was discharged officially from the Navy in 2014 without really having done too much for America. Hey, if you like this unspun look at the news and seeing how the news media is presenting one picture when that's maybe not the correct picture, please hit the bell below, subscribe to us, and follow LaCorte News. We're doing our best to give you some unspun news and really show you the behind the scenes of what's going on. Hunter Biden had fought drugs and alcohol much of his life, but around 2013 to 2015, it really started to get bad. This New Yorker piece by Adam Entos is mind-boggling and worth a read if you really want to learn something more about Hunter. It looks at his many stints in rehab. It mentions a sad time of his life where he said that he literally didn't leave his apartment except to go out and buy vodka. It involves a kind of bizarre story about him inviting a homeless woman named Bicycles to live in his spare bedroom for a few months. Then it gets really freaky, talking about a trip he made to Los Angeles. He was looking to score some crack cocaine, so, of course, he went down to Pershing Square and found some homeless people. One of them took him back to the camp where somebody pulled a gun on him, thinking that he was there to arrest him. When he finally explained that he was there to buy crack, not to arrest him, they sold him that, and evidently it worked well because he did it a few more times that week. On the same trip, after being awake by his own account for a few days, he got a rental car and was driving to Palm Springs. On the way, he crashed. He calls up Hertz. They come and give him a new car. He said he drove some more, and I don't know if it was that day or the next day, and then started thinking that he was hallucinating, seeing an owl in front of him. So he decided, okay, that's enough. He calls rehab to pick him up from that point. But Hertz gets the car back. They discover a crack pipe, his ID, some drugs, his brother's badge, his brother who'd passed away, his badge from when he was Attorney General, a Secret Service business card, and are like, yeah, this isn't a good thing. They call the cops. The cops can't prove it was his crack pipe, so nothing ends up happening. If you want to see a little bit of media spin in action, go to this CNN article that is based on the article that I just read. Take a look at how they describe his fight with drugs and alcohol and substance abuse. And then just imagine, and I hate to do this, but imagine his last name was Trump. Do you think they would have left out the crack, the homeless, the guns, the pipes in the cars? I'll report, you decide. And if you want to see a little media unspinning, you can always come to LaCorte News. And again, please subscribe to this channel if this is anything that you find interesting. During this especially hard time with drugs, Hunter's personal life starts to fall apart, and he's also getting involved in these deals that are taking him to China and Ukraine and will cause some problems for him a few years down the road. Hunter's love life includes a bitter divorce, an affair with his dead brother's widow, and marrying his current wife within a few weeks of meeting her. Look, there were a lot of ugly accusations during his divorce, and I'm just not going to get into those. One that I will touch on is about a diamond. His wife reported that he received a 2.8 carat diamond from a Chinese guy and wanted half of it in the divorce. As it turns out, a Chinese energy tycoon was trying to make some friends in Washington, D.C., and as a thank you for a gift, he gave Hunter Biden a diamond worth probably about $50,000. This guy's name was Ye Jianming, and he's now in detention in China for bribing people. Hunter told The New Yorker, "I knew it wasn't a good idea to take it. I just felt like it was weird." Yeah, it was. Now it's time to talk a little business, because Hunter was cutting business deals with the Chinese government at the same time his dad was negotiating with China on behalf of the United States. As I mentioned before, Hunter got together with John Kerry's stepson to do business overseas. Now, imagine what we have right now. We have the Vice President of the United States' son. We have the Secretary of State's stepson coming into China at the same time when these guys are negotiating all sorts of American business deals back and forth and America policy towards China. These guys are negotiating with Chinese to get an investment fund going. One thing to remember about China, when you're dealing with their large financial institutions, it's not like you're dealing with a private entity. You are literally dealing with the government, because the banks there and the government there are so intertwined that you really can't divide the two. It's not like coming to America and dealing with Bank of America. It's like you're dealing with the Chinese government. One incident that raised a lot of eyebrows is when Hunter accompanied his dad on Air Force Two. He was out in public with him in China. He introduced him to his business partner. And look, it made it a whole lot easier for Hunter Biden to negotiate literally with the Chinese government to get this investment fund going. Donald Trump is out saying Hunter raised $1.5 billion for this fund. The real answer is we don't know what it raised. We don't know how much money he made because these are private companies. None of these figures are public unless an investigation comes up in the future. Now, let me be clear. We don't have any evidence to say that Joe Biden did anything unethical or illegal on all this. Clearly, he knew his son was doing business over there. Did he ask for favors? Did he give winks and nods? You know what? We really don't know. But there's still a lot of bizarre stuff going on with this. The Obama officials were unhappy with it. They were like, look, the optics at the very least of this look pretty bad of what's going on. Things got a little weirder in Ukraine. While his father was the Obama administration's point person in Ukraine, Hunter cut a lucrative deal with a very shady natural gas company. A lot of Eastern Europe and a lot of Russia is still very corrupt, with people who were in the government now owning stuff. Ukraine is not only no exception. Ukraine is one of those countries that even the corrupt guys are like, damn, that's really corrupt over there. And Joe Biden was really America's point person in Ukraine. According to Foreign Policy magazine, written 3 years ago, no one in the government has wielded more influence over Ukraine than Vice President Joe Biden. He was the go-to guy for America. So one company that was widely thought to be very corrupt was a natural gas company called Burisma. It was a company that operated in a lot of secrecy. They didn't publish their financial numbers. It was founded by a former government minister of ecology and natural resources who basically gave himself the right to drill for gas and then became a multi-millionaire. But he had some problems. Ukraine was starting to look into some of their business practices, and the UK had actually frozen tens of millions of dollars of the founders' money because they said that they thought it was some type of scam. So at that point, this natural gas company decided to hire some high-profile people for their board. They turned to Hunter Biden and his partner, both of whom came on the board of directors of this natural gas company. Neither had really had any experience in Ukraine, and neither had had really any experience in natural gas, but they were politically connected. There was clearly a reason why this company did this, to get favor within the United States government. Now there's the question, did they get favor in the United States government? The vice president was very active in Ukraine. He went there 5 times. He worked in getting international aid, billions of dollars, both from the United States and other sources, into that country to help him out. He worked with their energy sector and, famously or infamously, depending on who you talk to, he strong-armed them into firing their top prosecutor. That prosecutor later said that he was actually investigating the oil company upon which Joe Biden's son sat on the board. Now you have two stories. You have Joe Biden saying, this was a corrupt prosecutor, he had to go, I was helping the country. You have other people who are saying, wait a second, this prosecutor was looking at this natural gas company. Then you have the prosecutor who took that guy's job saying, no, that investigation was over. Although, to be honest, he didn't investigate the company that much either. Right now, there's been no evidence that Joe Biden did anything unethical or illegal. He says that he helped eliminate corruption in that country, that this whole thing is a conspiracy theory, something the media is actually using that phrase a lot to describe. On the other hand, you have President Trump saying there was something nefarious going on, and Rudy Giuliani running around saying he's going to be able to prove something a little bit deeper. We'll see. Hey, if you like this, you also may be interested in seeing a video I did on Richard Stallman. He was a computer scientist and activist who the media and the Me Too mob changed around some words he said to make him look like he was supporting child rape, which he wasn't. I've also got a piece on Joe Rogan and Andrew Yang, basically looking at how Joe Rogan, this new online media presence, created the Yang candidacy, or at least gave him a jump start to get going. So if you like these and other things, subscribe. Please check out LaCorte News. And until next time, thanks for being here. Bye-bye.